Hi, welcome back to the Blissful Heart channel. My name is Desiree Lee, and today we are going to talk about ways to prepare for the next year, the next decade, 2020. Here we come. Hi, welcome back to my channel, to all of my subscribers, and for anybody that's new, I release videos every week, putting out whatever the divine guides me to release. For example, today I had every intention of doing a card pull for you, and I spent about 20-30 minutes setting up my table and the area to do a reading for you, and then when I sat down, the energy didn't feel right, and so I checked in with my guides, and sure enough, they said, no, we don't want you pulling cards today because we want you to do more of a channeled divine guidance message and share with them some tips and tricks on how they can prepare for 2020 using their own intuition and their own guidance. And I thought that's really awesome. Like, I've always wanted to, help you learn to tap into your intuition and really trust it. It's just such a powerful skill to have, and it's something that we should all believe in and trust, because we all have a certain level of ability to connect with the divine. For some of us, it is a birth-given gift that we don't have to really work for, but everybody has it on some level. So I assume that most of my viewers already have a deck, at least one, but if you don't have a deck, you should definitely get one for yourself for 2020. That should be one of your 2020 goals, is owning either tarot deck or a oracle deck. And if you ever want me to do a video on the decks I have and what are my favorites, please comment below. I would love to just sit there and chat about my decks. So in today's video, I am going to be sharing with you all of the things that I am aspiring to do for 2020 in hopes that it inspires you. And if you have any additional stuff, please add your comments or suggestions below. And then I'm also going to be giving you a very brief tutorial on how to pull cards for yourself, so you can take a look at what is coming up for you in the year of 2020 and the month of January and any month thereafter. Also kind of looking at angel guidance. So I'm just going to kind of step you through how I did that. So it's basically a two-part video. If you want to skip to how to pull cards for yourself, I will have that in the timestamp below. But I am so excited to share with you today what I am planning on doing for 2020, because I have definitely been feeling a huge sense of relief at the 2019, that this decade is kind of winding down, and feeling incredibly excited about the energy that's coming through. In fact, I've been so excited that I was completely unprepared for this monumental new moon in Capricorn solar eclipse that took place 25th/26th just the other day for me recording right now. So, for me, that was a shocker, because I'm always looking forward to the new and the full moon, and I have been so anxious and just thinking about all of the different things that I want to bring into 2020 that I completely forgot and was unprepared for this new moon in Capricorn, which I'm not going to really get into right now. But, it is a very tremendous and potent energy. It's basically a repeat times 10 of everything that's been going on for the last 3 months. We've just been purging and clearing, and things come up, and release and purge and forgive, and things come up, and it's just been constant, right? I feel like honestly all of my card readings have been very much repetitive in just a slightly different flavor or a different way. As those of you that are on my Facebook know, that I lost my first fur baby just a couple weeks ago, and I got her in 2009. So it's been almost 10 years on the nose that she passed. And for those of you that are wondering, she did have some health issues, so it wasn't a huge surprise that she was going to move on. But nothing really prepares you for the loss of your first fur baby, and from what I've heard, they all feel just as intense as your first. So it is probably the closest thing to trauma that I've experienced in this lifetime anyway. And it is very sad, but also, me knowing that she was suffering these last few years, I felt like it was, a huge blessing for her to be, released from, the trauma of living in her physical form. So many, many blessings to my sweet dog, Natalie. I love her so much. And then I had my surgery the month before that, and there's just been some very monumental change going on for the whole year of 2019. And one of the things that we look at in terms of preparing for 2020 is acknowledging all of the lessons that we've gone through in this year of 2019, and honoring all of them, the dark and the light. I feel like a lot of people automatically just kind of want to look at the accomplishments, look at the things that they have done right, but you also definitely need to honor like what it took to get you there. And it might have been something that took place over the last 10 years. It might be like a build-up, and I would say most definitely the bigger the reward, the longer the journey to get there. So I really feel that the divine wants you to know how important and vital it is to really look at all this dark aspects of growth, and how potent and powerful it is. And it's really so much about our foundation and the structure. So the guidance that they are giving me right now is showing me a house with a rooting system in the earth. And we are that house. Our soul is that house. And we are building on the house that we have created a foundation for. Basically our entire life up until this point. What they have been giving me in divine guidance is like how monumental and how much time they're like saying, it's beyond this life, it's lifetimes. Like what we are getting into for 2020 is seriously like larger than life, larger than anything that we could possibly comprehend. Okay. And so, they want us to know how, enormous this transition is going to be. And they said, get excited. If you already are excited, get more excited. You have a reason to celebrate. Okay. And if you are a little scared to be excited because life has been knocking you down, don't be afraid to get excited, because there is big change in the wind. And this is a time, and I'm getting chills. My whole body is in chills right now. Like, this is enormously wonderful. Okay. This transition is really something to be excited about, and to trust your instinct, and to just trust that inner gut feeling you have of something being magnificent. If I didn't make it clear, the divine told me no cards because they wanted me to really work on channeling, and that's what I'm doing. I'm channeling without cards. Those of you that have been following me know that I've always been a channeler, that's what I do, but I've kind of relied on my cards to help guide me. And so I've been guided as of this morning when I pulled my cards for the year that I need to learn how to work with my intuition on a more constant and I basically need to walk in 3D with my intuition turned on full blast. So this is me learning how to work with it. I've been like turning it on and off, kind of like a light switch where it's like, okay, I'm sitting down to do a reading and it's on, whether it's for myself or for you, or, it's always like, and then when I'm done, I'm like, okay, thank you. And it's off. Right. So they told me this morning, it's time for you to really be walking in that subconscious layer, to be walking in your moon aspect, and to learn how to live through that, because that's where manifestation happens. Yes, I will be doing a lot of channeled divine guidance for you today. So we're looking and reflecting and honoring all of this 2019 and beyond. And while we're doing that, not only are we offering forgiveness where forgiveness needs to be offered, not only are we offering gratitude where we've possibly had resentment, okay, but like really looking at what a gift it is, but we are also looking at maybe where we felt really close to achieving a goal, but then we kind of missed the mark. And so, obviously we carry those goals onto the new year and the new decade. And, this 2020, this powerful synchronistic number of like perfect vision and clarity, we are coming in with our eyes on the prize, right? And so the guidance that I'm being suggested to give to you that I've taken on for myself is coming up with a word for the year. And so we find this word, we discover this word by looking at the goal and how we want to feel, or how it would feel in fulfilling that goal or living that goal, whatever that goal is, right? So if it's weight loss, how does it feel to be in that body? If it's, creating a business that's successful, that you have however many clients a month, or you make so much money a month, what does that feel like? If it's, and this is, a classic, if it's being in union with your twin flame or your soulmate, that life partner, what does it feel like? And yes, I'm not getting into the manifestation part, but that is definitely part of manifesting, is acting as if. But what we're looking for here is that word of the year. So it does need to kind of challenge you a little bit, where you're like, ooh, that's kind of a little scary. And then you also want it to, inspire and excite you. You want it to elicit a heart response when you think of it or say the word, or if somebody says the word to you, right? So it is a super powerful word, and you want to meditate with it. And I sat down and I just wrote out like a list of like 10 words that I wanted to, that were kind of close to what I wanted to bring into 2020 as my word of the year. And, for me, there was definitely a little bit of trepidation and like committing to one word, and, like try to be a little lighthearted about it, I feel I've done words of the year before, and they tend to lose their potency for me anyway, like in that 6-month mark. And so instead of like being like, hey, this word isn't like vibing with me anymore, but it's my word of the year and I'm stuck with it, like I'm just going to give myself permission to change it if that so happens, like, hey, I'm fluid. That's the kind of person I am. But I want you to make sure that for me, I'm not fleeing the word because I can't show up for it anymore. I would be changing the word because it's not inspiring me anymore, and it's not, giving me that powerful heart response anymore. And I feel like that's really normal. Like a word that you say over and over again starts to lose its potency. So, make sure if you are following that guideline of like, oh, I'm going to just change that word whenever I want. Like, don't be doing it every day, and, make sure you're not changing it because you feel like you can't live up to it anymore, because that obviously wouldn't be a positive reason to change the word. But yeah, so for you with the word, I do suggest that you like sit down and you start to kind of just write some words that hint at what is going to get you to your goal. And then you can either, get, which I did, get on the computer, look at a thesaurus, and see if there's some other words that, can come up for you. And then, if you're familiar with Danielle Laporte, you can look for some buzzwords in her Desire Map book. And I'm pretty sure you can actually just Google like Desire Map words, or Danielle Laporte Desire Map words. And then, you can also bring in your cards to help assist you to make sure you're on the right track. And we're going to get into the cards in just a moment. But another thing that I am doing for 2020 is I've decided that I want to commit to doing a depth year. And this is, you can either do a depth year or a width year. And so for the depth year, it is a matter of exercising a little bit of self-discipline and restraint and committing to not purchasing certain items or things. And for me, I'm making it about, not buying any more books, oracle or tarot cards, crystals. And I'm also looking at, diving deeper into my own personal yoga and meditation practice. I feel like I have a ton of tools that I'm always looking for more. And instead of like looking for more or looking for different ways to approach something I know how to do more of what I know how to do instead of trying to figure out a different way to approach it. So that is what I'm committing to do for 2020. And I'm going to, read the books that I haven't finished reading or I never even picked up. I'm going to, reacquaint myself with the decks I have and possibly be getting rid of some. And if I do that, I'll probably, this won't be until the end of 2020 probably, but I probably will be giving them away or figuring out some sort of donation program because I know there are some decks that, I just have never really resonated with that I have in my collection. So I'm going to see if I can connect with them this year. And if not, I'm going to look at, finding that exchange program or something of the like, maybe doing a giveaway. So then I'm also starting a bullet journal this year, and I just have been binging bullet journal videos, and it's like just watching bullet journal video after bullet journal video. And some of these YouTubers that like their entire channel is based on bullet journaling are just so meticulous and everything is so beautiful and precise. And I was like, I started to feel like anxious and a lot of pressure in terms of like, oh my gosh, that's like a lot to do. And I want my artwork to be beautiful, and now I need to get some new paper to print out. And, it started to become like overwhelming. And so I have the dot journal, I have the pens, I have the ruler, I have all this stuff. And I just wasn't writing in it because I wanted it to be perfect. And so, with my Virgo sun, I had to kind of just free myself of that need for perfection and just get in there and be like, it's my first year doing a bullet journal. Who cares what it looks like? It doesn't have to be beautiful. And I got in there and started. Super excited about that. So one of the things that I'm incorporating into my bullet journal is this book called Your Signs by Carolyn Faulkner. And it is an empowering astrology guide for 2020. And I'm so excited about this. This is a guidebook for the whole year that takes you through what's going on astrologically and then helps you kind of relate and connect it to your natal chart. So as I've mentioned before, I am deepening my depth of understanding astrology. And I do have another book called Elemental Astrology that I am using to study, all the planets, the signs, the houses, etc. But this one is so cool. It takes you through like a forecast of the week, what your mission is. So she gives you like guidance on like doing a meditation and what you should be meditating on. And then an aspiration or a mantra, like for this week, is to be happy. And then she just kind of asks you some questions. I don't know. I think you can see that. Let it focus in for a second. So she asks you some questions to fill out in response to the guidance for the week. So I'm really excited about it. Like it says here for Friday, February 28th, it says the moon moves into Taurus. Power surge for those with stamps in Capricorn and Taurus. So it's just like gives you an opportunity to kind of reflect on, did I feel a power surge? Because I have a Capricorn ascendant. So, during that week, I can kind of look at like, did I actually feel anything, And I'm just super excited about this idea of deepening my understanding and connection to the planets and the signs and the houses and everything that goes with it. So that's going to be part of my bullet journal experience, as well as a million other things that I feel like if I were to get into, would make this video longer than I want it to be right now. But hey, let me know if you are bullet journaling and if you have, like, what do you find is your favorite spread to add or put into your bullet journal. I personally am so overwhelmed. I got like a million things written, so I'm just kind of gonna come in at it as best as I can, so that it's not too super overwhelming for me, but is still exciting and inspiring. And another note that I wanted to add to that, because some of you are like, wow, Desiree, you're really doing a lot of stuff for yourself 2020. I want to say, yes, I am doing a lot of stuff for myself. And if you're anything like me, you'll be like, oh yeah, I'll commit for like a month and then I won't do it anymore, or 3 months and then I won't do it anymore. And I am definitely that kind of person, and I feel like that I've let it stop me in the past from even starting, just being like, I'm not gonna even start because I know I won't finish. And I feel like that is just such a shitty attitude to have. So if you do find that you're kind of like not letting yourself do something out of fear of failing, like, that is ridiculous. Like, go ahead and take yourself there. And if you fail for a month or whatever, just get back on the wagon when you can. And again, that's why I feel like freeing yourself of that need to be perfect or for things to have perfection is like essential in approaching anything new, really. Anything new, any change, you have to free yourself of being perfect and give yourself permission to, fail and fall off the wagon, so to speak, and start again. So those are the things that I am doing for 2020. So now I want to offer you some suggestions and guidance, just briefly, on how to pull cards for yourself. And one of the things that I think is so important is, that you obviously have a space that you consider to be sacred, or that you have somehow invested a little bit of time in to make it almost like a little altar space, or special in some way to you. And it doesn't have to be of a particular faith, right? If you aren't religious, and it doesn't have to have crystals, right? It just has to be something that you feel kind of gets you in the zone, right? So I do recommend it being somewhere maybe that you don't normally sit or hang out, if you have that, and that you do put something, whether it's a photo or some flowers or a candle, but putting something that makes you smile, or like a God box is what Spirit is also bringing up right now. So it's just like a box that you can decorate. And I'm definitely like trying to approach this from a low budget standpoint, something that you can do, right away without having to go out and buy a bunch of things, right? But just making a box and painting it, or cutting out pictures and taping or gluing them to the box, or drawing with ink pens. But just making a box that you put your problems in or your questions in to the divine. And it can be like a way of like putting it out there. Could be a way of also relieving yourself of the burden of it. And it's also can be like a way of gratitude, of just like expressing thanks for anything that you have. But anyway, just like creating a space where you feel like you can unplug from your phone and your computer and your day-to-day grind, whatever it is, and that you can have a little bit of peace, okay? So, obviously a lot of these are just on the floor, but it doesn't have to be. It can be maybe a table that you don't normally sit at, or that you only sit at every now and again, as long as it takes you out of your current routine, which of course your meditation space would become a routine, but you get what I'm saying, okay? So, and then, yeah, if you have the means, you know, sage, Palo Santo, and then sound, right? You can also use bells, like just little chimes. You can use singing bowls, Tibetan bowls, anything that you could even do, like a bell from your phone, just like a meditation bell. But bells are a great way to clear space as well. So the idea is that you take the time to set the space and you have this sacred space, right? And then another thing that I think is really important, and I have definitely fallen into this myself as a reader, especially if you're a professional reader, and you're pulling cards all of the time, sometimes you forget to really sit with the messages for yourself and to really, you know, honor what shows up for you. And I've also found too, like the more decks you have, like the more you're just like want to use different decks, and like if one deck isn't resonating with you, then you're just like, that message is wrong, you know, I'm gonna get another deck. So it is about like honoring anything that comes through. I had a card for January where I was like, I seriously hate this card. I don't resonate with it. I don't connect or relate to it. It keeps showing up for me, and every time it's shown up for me, and I'm talking about years of this card coming back to haunt me. It's actually one of the reasons why I don't use that deck very often, I realized. And I'm like, I just had to sit with it this morning and just be like, this card obviously wants to talk to me, and I'm going to try to figure out how this relates to me, because I honestly, I'm like, I don't see it. I don't see it. It's not that I see it and I'm like, ooh, that's ugly, I want to bury it. I'm just like, I don't get it. Like, I really don't get it. How is that about me? So I got to meditate on that. Okay, so once you have your space, you want to pick your decks. I do suggest having a tarot deck and an oracle deck, but if you only have one deck, that's fine. But for my reading that I did for myself to prepare for 2020 and for January itself, so for the entire year and then for the first month of the year, I had 2 tarot decks, one for the year, one for the month, 2 oracle decks, one for the year, one for the month. And then I also did an angel guidance spread based on the divine guidance of Kyle Gray from the Light Warrior book that I have talked about with you guys before. And I highly recommend this book if you're looking for a book that's going to help you tap more into your intuition and to kind of give you some really cool exercises and ways to honor your energy body and to you know, cleanse your space, etc. He kind of goes through what I consider to be absolute musts for anybody in the healing community, anybody that is trying to communicate with spirit, you know, learning how to turn your shields on and off and learning how to filter things. This book I wish I had like, you know, 10 years ago when I really, even sooner, honestly. But, you know, for me, when I first was getting started doing readings and stuff, I was getting contact with negative or lower vibration entities, which scared me. And so it really slowed down my progress, because I was like, I'm just not going to go there if I'm going to be getting in contact with this weird, icky energy. I don't like it, you know? So highly recommend his book to give you some guidance on that. And, you know, if you want me to show you how the tools I have in terms of protection and filters and shields and how to deal with staying in the light, please comment below. But yeah, you know, before you pull cards, you want to take a time to close your eyes and to breathe and to connect. I have a special saying, like a special prayer that I say before I get started, but it can be of anything that you relate or resonate with. And I do encourage you to have it be organic and intuitive and natural to you, but obviously until you get there, it's like, I don't really know what to say. So this is what I say. I say, I call upon the Supreme God, the Divine Father, the Divine Mother. I call upon my soul and my divine self. I call upon all of the angels and the healing helpers and the spiritual hierarchy. Thank you for being with me and sharing with me in healing light, love, power, and protection. I ask that I be a clear conduit of light, of love, of power, and healing energy. Through the grace of God and my own will, so be it. Then I say, so be it, so be it, so be it. Then I follow that with, and I'm doing sage when I do all this, by the way. I am grounded to the earth, and I am connected to Father Sky. I am one with God and one with all. I am a divine being of light. Through the grace of God and my own will, so be it. And both of those I got from Shakti Durga, the Ignite Your Spirit book that I talked to you about, with the sacred alchemy healing modality. I talked about that book in my chakra video. If you missed that, the last, I want to say 5 to 10 minutes, I talk about books to read for learning more about chakras and healing modalities and energy. So anyway, blessing, that's just if you ground yourself and you call upon angels of love and light, you are protected. Okay, so that is a really easy way to just make sure you feel safe. And then, you want to close your eyes and get really focused on one specific question. Working with a dowsing tool also trains you to be one specific question. But, angels of truth, love, and light is how I always start my questions. What card will best give me the guidance that I need to hear for the year 2020? What card best represents what I need to know about 2020? And I'll repeat it a couple times until I have really solidified it in my mind. And I'm shuffling the cards while I'm proposing the question at least 3 times. And then I will go until a card is sticky. So I shuffle my cards like this. And then I will also, this is the Mary L deck, and it's a really, really long to do the traditional shuffle. But for decks that don't strain my fingers out, I do the traditional shuffle too. But I will grab a bunch, shuffle them forward, back, and etc. I will do that a few times. And then what typically will happen is one card will stick, and this is the Queen of Discs, but one card will stick or even jump out. And if they jump out, that's a clear sign. So I know when you're a newbie, you think, oh, it fell out. But it's actually a clear sign for you, and that's your card, okay? And then, so that's how you're doing the tarot for the whole year 2020. Then you get your oracle deck, and you do the same thing. You shuffle the deck, close your eyes, and then the question for the oracle deck that I ask, that I suggest for you, is what oracle card will give me the best guidance to honor the message from the tarot? Which oracle card will show me how I can honor the guidance from the tarot? And again, I will repeat that question, basically rephrasing the same thing at least 3 times, or until a card pops out, right? Sometimes I'll be in the middle of the second time repeating the question and a card will pop out, and that's the card, okay? Sometimes I'll have to say it 7 or 8 times and the card will pop out. So a lot of the times too, if there is a difficulty where you're not feeling a card wanting to come out or pop out, then possibly the question isn't being phrased properly. That is something to think about. Oh, and then I forgot, so I was showing you the shuffle technique, which, is kind of an acquired skill. So if you're not in that shuffle technique, then you just fan all your cards out on your table, floor, bed, wherever you're at, fan them out, and then look at them and kind of scan them right to left and let the one that speaks to you be your card. So speaking to you can show up in many ways. Sometimes it's very impulsive, like you just close your eyes, you put that intention, the card that I need is going to light up for me. I'll know exactly which one it is, and you'll open your eyes and boom, there it is. For me, when I wasn't doing the shuffle and I was doing the fanning technique, I would scan them right to left, and one would just light up for me. It would stand out, and I was always like, I know all the backs of these cards are the same, but that is my card, you know. Another way is to close your eyes and kind of run your hand over them, and then your hand would kind of like just pick it out for you. So it's really about, you know, whatever helps you to shut down the thinking mind and let your intuition do the picking for you, okay? So that is for the year. You basically do the same thing for the month of January. I chose to do 2 whole other decks. I did count my decks the other day. I have 75 decks. So I definitely don't need any more decks at this point. And I know some people have more. I just think that might be a little too much. I don't know. At this point, that's how I feel anyway. So, you know, you don't need fresh new decks, but I would keep your year cards out. Or you can put them in first, like it doesn't matter. And then do the same thing for your month of January. So same questions, month of January. And then after I did that, I did a meditation through the Light Warrior book to connect with my angel guidance. And I did a meditation where I walk into a crystal cave, and in that cave is my higher guidance system sitting in there. And you know, honestly, I've been in this cave before, and it is a very classic subconscious space. And you can, you know, either just meditate and channel your divine guidance to come through in the cave. For me, I will say that I'm very blessed that it was like super little to no effort, and it always has been, and it was very reminiscent for me to do it because it's been a while since I've meditated on the cave. So then I took, since I have 2 of Kyle Gray's decks, I took his Angel Prayer Oracle, and Keepers of the Light Oracle, and I did a divine channeling where I just asked what angel showed me my present moment. Let me check the book here. So the first card represents your strengths, your gifts, and what you've worked on already. Know that this is divine guidance thanking you for committing to whatever that card is about. Then the second card is what's going on in your heart right now. So pulling the second card, you know, what is going on in my heart right now, angels? And I got 2 cards for this. So I just want to mention to any of you that are new that if 2 cards pop out, then honor that, you know. I know that some people have different philosophies, and, you know, you're welcome to play that out for yourself, of course. But I personally am on the stance of honoring 2 card pop outs. If it's more than 2 cards, and like we're talking like 5, 6, 7 cards, I'm like, okay, the cards are really excited. They want to talk to me. And then I'm coming in probably with a lot of like kind of chaotic energy. And so I take a breath, bring all those cards back in the deck, and like say, okay, Spirit, please show me 1 card to represent what is going on in my heart right now. So, you know, that again, that is up to you, but I do recommend it to be no more than 2 cards. But yeah, honoring a 2 card pop out if that's what happens, or they'll stick and you'll get like 2 instead of 1. That is something you can honor as well. And then the third card is what you need to do. So your challenge card. And what's really cool, so you're shuffling the deck, what is my challenge card? So the first card I got to represent where I am right now, I got Odin's Psychic Insight from the Keepers of the Light by Kyle Gray. And his animal spirit are birds of flight, in particular crows. And I was said, you know, okay, Spirit, like, and this was guidance through Kyle Gray as well, so I was inspired because I do it sometimes. But anyway, I just said, okay, angels, you know, please give me a sign today of a bird or a feather in particular, to show me that, you are communicating to me that I heard the message clearly, and that I'm on the right path. And, I guess I kind of got out of the habit of doing that because I just trust my divine guidance. But it is so much fun when your 3D world starts to kind of cross over, which is, again, what I'm working on for 2020. So I was sitting on my couch and there was these crows like eating some of the seeds out of this tree right outside my patio. And I have never seen them so close. I mean, they were right there. There was 2 of them. And I was like, okay, and that was like my nod, and I thanked for the sign. And then the other sign that I had asked for, where I had said, I want to see a feather. And I want it to be pink or purple. And I had asked for it to be in the 3D world, but, as we know, it's not always in the 3D world. But I was watching a YouTuber, and she's like, oh, I got this sage smudge stick from Arizona, and she pulls it out, and it has a blue, a pink, and a purple feather in it. And I was like, okay. And she was like, these are real feathers, which, because we know that there's no such thing as like finding those kinds of feathers like in the real world. But yeah, they obviously were dyed, but still. I was like, okay, and that's my nod. Okay, thank you. Because I kind of felt like it was a silly sign to ask for, like a pink or a purple feather. But anyway, just wanted to share that with you because these things are so potent and powerful, and it's so much about our intention. So I hope that this was useful. I know it wasn't like super organized in terms of me like having bullet points, etc. But I really do hope that you take the time to like do the meditation. And if there is any questions you have, please, feel free to ask them in the comment section below. And I am still planning on presenting a chakra meditation video for you. But because 2020 is right around the corner, I really wanted to bring this out to you first and foremost. So I want to know what you're doing for 2020 and how you're feeling about it. And just sending you all so many prayers and blessings to have an amazing 2020. Thank you so much for joining me today and watching the video all the way to the end. Sending you love and light and blessings. Mwah.